Hello, my name is Shulamit, and I'm the creator of the MetaSounds process. Every Sunday at noon, I host a Zoom meeting for us to explore wisdom teachings and experience the healing power of MetaSounds. These meetings are made possible by generous donors. Please help this site thrive by liking and subscribing, and please join our newsletter at greatoctave.com to receive notices of our events. Welcome, everybody. Again, the constant theme in our lives and also in my talks is change. Now, we're very aware of change in our political system and all the noise coming out of Washington and things shifting rather radically in our government anyway. And I think it's taking some attention away from something that's really going on that's pretty unsettling and scary. And that is the development of artificial intelligence, which we've been aware of for some time. Not, speaking for myself, not really understanding the ramifications of it, just in the background, like getting a little annoyed when I deal with a vendor because I can't get an answer because I'm dealing with a bot all the time. But this is not really everything that's happening. This is just the beginning that we're experiencing as consumers and as citizens. The potentials for AI are really extraordinary and terrifying and astounding and exhilarating, and well, it's certainly the end of our role as human beings in the way that we understand it. This will take place over the coming decades. My understanding is, I should say, that it's going to take place over the coming decades. Perhaps every 5 years we'll see a jump in changes in our society and our lives. And then at some point it'll all resolve and be the new reality. Artificial intelligence, which is called alien intelligence by some, it's not the same as a coffee machine that you can program to turn to grind your beans and make your coffee in the morning, because that's all it does. You press a button and that's all it does. With AI, the machine can learn from itself, from its mistakes, and change. And I'll call it progress, but it who knows what goes. It's not doesn't have consciousness. It's not interested in ethics or kindness or any kind of emotion. It's a machine. It's being programmed by humans at the present time. Humans who are in kind of an arms race between, the Googles and Sam Altman's company, OpenAI, and what's his name, the car guy, Tesla guy. They're all in competition to win the game, to be the first or whatever. So they don't have time for niceties. They all write articles and say that they're terrified of their own creation, but they don't have time for the niceties, because the machines can be programmed to live within certain guardrails. So what does it mean? Kind of obviously, what does it mean? Well, one thing it means is that there are certain trades and professions that will be either substantially curtailed or eliminated because the AI can do it better. So I don't know what's going to happen to doctors. Perhaps they'll have a role, but a different role. But AI can take the history of a patient, gather all the data in the world that's ever been written, all the studies that have ever been made, and basically come up with a diagnosis in pretty much a split second, right? It's very different. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, you went to the doctor actually touched you, right? They listened to your heart, they palpated your organs. The doctors don't do that anymore. They take blood tests. They send you for MRIs. They don't do that anymore. They read the results from these chemical tests and from these resonance tests and so on, and get pretty accurate information, probably more accurate than when I was a kid. Or maybe not. It's just they have better solutions now. But that's not the point. The point is it changed. And now it appears that the AI will be able to read a lot of things about you, because apparently you're not the way we think of ourselves. Our emotion, our creativity, our love, it is just a function of some mechanical thing that goes on inside us. Chemical reactions, genetic material. It can be read. And the idea is that at some point in the future, not that distant future, machines will be able to read us everywhere. For example, you go to work, come home, you've had a lousy day. Nobody in your family is particularly interested in your lousy day. But your refrigerator is. You go to your refrigerator, and your refrigerator knows what foods to offer you because it can read your moods. I mean, that's pretty wild, and a little depressing. But anyway, that's the kind of thing that's talked about. There are things that are talked about that I never could have imagined. Yeah. There'll be possibly a new religion. People will be subjugated by AI. All these things could happen. And at the same time, there are benefits. Health will be improved. Maybe problems that we have difficulty solving, environmental issues, might be handled more easily. I don't know. But our role, the role that we understand that we have throughout history, seems to be changing radically. It might come a point where we are integrated with machines, and the concept of what we think it means to be human might completely change. We may not be relevant anymore. Well, I shouldn't say become. We may not be relevant anymore. Whole classes of people will be out of work, possibly, and nobody will care. They're not needed. Our physical work is mostly not needed because of the Industrial Revolution. There's still physical work left, but the drudgery is gone. Our mental efforts will not be useful anymore because the machine can do it better. And apparently, all the other things that we think of as particularly human, our creative powers, our powers of imagination, will also be, I don't know if they'll be surpassed. Maybe the stuff that the machine will produce will be soulless, but nevertheless, it will be able to create songs and paintings and do all sorts of things that we think are so uniquely human. Now, I have grandchildren, and they're 12 years old, and they visit me, and they're not interested in TV. They're not interested in movies. They have their devices. And when we're not involved with some activity that we choose together, they are on their devices. And I just had somebody here the other day who brought their 5-year-old child, and the child sat there very calmly, not interfering with anything that we were doing because she was on the phone. Now, their brains are going to be wired differently than ours. They're going to be thinking completely differently. They already are. There's a generation under 20 that thinks completely differently, that I don't necessarily relate to. So the question for us is, how do we carry on and feel and know that we have meaning and purpose, and how do we carry on in times of really significant upheaval in society because of changes? And this could come from the environment as well, or from cyber warfare, or who knows what, but certainly from AI, the changes that could come from AI. how are we going to handle ourselves over the coming years so that we can remain clear, feel that we have purpose, that our lives matter, that our principles matter, that our values matter. And for that, I think you have to undertake a very serious practice of getting to know yourself, because that will bring calm into your mind. You will find that you will gain inner peace when you can clear up the arguments that are often coming at you from other people but have been internalized, but arguments that where you don't know where you stand. You know where everybody else stands and what they're trying to do. If you can become very clear, you'll be less subject to the manipulations of people who want to sell you something, either ideologically or commercially. And you can remain clear and calm despite the whirlpool, whirlwind, whatever you want to call the world that's going on around you and potentially is sucking you in to a position that you may not completely adhere to. Now, we're all going to have to change. That's probably clear. But we do have agency. We do have the possibility of having some participation in creating that. So I urge you to be serious about not kind of just going along, but clearing your mind so that you're not pulled by whoever's trying to sell you something, and you're certainly not pulled by fear, because the people who want to manipulate you can use fear very successfully. They can manipulate you through social media and whatever, using just scaring you, and making you think, I've got to choose sides, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. No, you've got to really be clear. For your own safety and for the safety of your family, you have to be able to listen to your environment and know what might be the best path forward. It's not always easy to know, but when you're clear, you can hear inner voices. I mean, you can consider them to be outer voices, but voices that tell you, direct you to the safer, to the right path, to the path of values, to the path of meaning, and so on. And let us pray that the human experiment continues. I think that this idea of calling it alien intelligence is very good. I don't know if you remember 2001 when the main character is almost killed by the computer, whose name is Hal, who has a very sweet and pleasant voice, and is finally disconnected by the protagonist, played by Keir Dalia. And it's kind of like that now. The machine can decide that it doesn't like what you're doing and bypass you and act for its own perceived own self-interest. So I don't have the answers to what's going to happen, but I do know that I feel calm. I sleep well. I'm not fearful. And that comes from a practice of years. It's a sacrifice in one sense, because you're sacrificing your diversions. You're sacrificing this idea that you are the center of the universe. You're sacrificing some delusions and taking a path that's harder in a lot of ways, because it really requires you to look very carefully at yourself and learn from yourself about your own nature in a very deep way, which will affect how you relate to everybody else. So on that note, I'm going to make some sounds to you and ask you to relax and receive the sounds. If you like, you could spend a moment thinking about something that's been bothering you, that's on your mind, that you would like to have some support for, and use the sounds to help you in that endeavor. So Thank you for joining me today and being part of our community. I invite you to join us every Sunday at noon Eastern Time for the full live experience. Wishing you a wonderful week, and I look forward to connecting with you soon. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Visit greatoctave.com for more details about these webcasts, our newsletter, donations, and more.